Welcome back to another day at the Ordinary Guy Garage. I'm Scott, still an ordinary guy. And today we're gonna do some work on the cooling system of the S10, trying to figure out some more of the pieces of that cooling puzzle. So hang on. I have a few things to get wrapped up or get done, I guess, on the S10. Little knick-knack stuff, you know, things that I don't always get to, or that I should do, and all that. I was at the machine shop yesterday, so an update on the motor. We were waiting for the ATI dampener to come back from ATI. We sent it out to have it recertified. So it just got back a couple of days ago. So now we are gonna tear the rest of the block down and send off the parts for rebalancing with the new crankshaft. So hopefully I should have it back in a couple of weeks. I'm hoping. I'd like to get a jump on it this year and not have it together at the last minute right before the season starts. So that's the update on that. Let's see, so cooling system. We've been working on that. I've been working on it, I guess. The intake manifold, I did a couple of videos ago. I put the cooling bypass into it to help cool it. Today I'm gonna make a fan shroud. I have an idea of a fan shroud that should be pretty simple to make. And so that's gonna be the plan. So let's go over to the radiator support, because I have the radiator in there right now, and I'll go over what I have in there and what my plan is. So hang on. Here is the radiator. This is a Summit brand, I believe it was, radiator. It fit really nicely. It fits right into the radiator support, core support, whatever you call it. Fits in there really good. Only thing I had to do was I had to notch out the top here so I could access the water cap. Now here's the fan. I can't tell you much about the fan because that came on something I bought, so I'm not too sure too much about it, but it's a pretty good fan. I have this bracket here made up that holds it all together. It works double to hold the fan in and to hold the radiator in. Put a piece of hose up here, split it down the middle, and then put it over the top of the radiator there for a little bit of a support. And then it's anchored there with that bolt and that bolt right there. That one. So that's what I have. Like I said, that's a Summit radiator, and I'll get the part number and I'll put it down in the description, so that way you know what it is if you're following along. So anyways, let me get this out of the core support and get it up on the bench, and we'll go from there. I've been thinking about this fan shroud deal for quite a while now, what I was gonna do with it and how I was gonna, you know, and just kind of back and forth. Because sometimes it takes me a while to mull things over and figure out what I want to do. Well, so in looking at this radiator here, let me move this down a little bit. All right, my fan sits on here like this. Sits right like that. Looking at this, let's take the fan off of it for a second. Inside to inside, it's 26 inches across. And I believe right about 15 and a half tall. Overall length on the radiator is 31 by 15 and a half. So overall 31 by 15 and a half. Now 26 by 15 and a half is what my concern is. I had an idea that I could set this right in there. This cake pan, I just picked it up this morning. This cake pan is a little over 25 and a half wide and 18 tall. So it needs to be trimmed a little bit on the bottom, but to me, That looks like it's gonna fit in there just right. So I had a plan was to, originally I thought, well, I could put that over this and then trim this out. But in looking at it, I believe I could get away with mounting the fan itself directly to this shroud, cake pan, whatever. And then, so that's what we're gonna do. So let me go ahead and get this, start measuring this all out. And we will, yeah, let's see, right there. Okay, now. Kind of traced it right there with the blade. Plan is now to cut that out. So thinking I will start with this, and then I think I'm going to use a body saw. Let's give it a shot, see what happens. All right, get that thing out of here. All right, got it all hacked out. So I'm going to have to straighten some of this, and of course it needs to be trimmed. This is just a rough cut. I'm thinking that what I want to do is mount this on the other side of the pan. So in order to do that, I'm going to need to notch it a little bit. Let me think. Okay, so here's obviously the radiator. I have this mounted from the back side. You can see on the inside there. Fits on here pretty good. Up here is nice and tight. The sides, you know, it could be It could be a 1/2 inch wider, but you know, I think this is going to be just fine. The other thing I did was I trimmed an end off of it. So let me get this radiator moved. All right, I trimmed an end off of it here, and what I did was, you can see I just overlapped it on those edges right there, like that. So what you could do, you could just drill a hole and put a rivet, or you could put like a self-tapper, or you could put, you know, anything. It might even be okay just like it is. So what I did was I cut this off, and I left, this was sticking out this edge a little bit, so I left about 1 inch on this, hanging on this, so I could fold it over and get the bottom, so the bottom will have a lip on it as well, just like the front. So now this is where I was getting frustrated with it yesterday. My idea here was to put a trim ring around it. Not trim, but to kind of direct the air, you know, and I'm thinking that if I don't have this around it, you could see the blades, the distance there. It'll probably pull air from the sides as well as the front. So I feel like if I put something like this on it, it's gonna concentrate it from coming from this way. So if you have a fan that's already enclosed, then basically you're done. You don't have to do any more than this, except, you know, trim it up. This has not been trimmed out yet. This is all rough cut. So the other thing I was thinking about with welding this on there was it would really stiffen everything up. But really, this thing is really it's pretty firm. So and as far as this goes, if you do have this pipe, what I was doing here was putting a little, just as a spacer back in there and clamping it. Kind of how I wanted it. So like that. Now the spacers, put the little spacers in there so that way if it's welded on, this thing here will come in and out without, you know, being too tight. The other thing you could do, and I thought about doing this, and I might end up doing it, I don't know, is right here where these clamps are, you could drill a hole or 2 holes in each one and put a couple of bolts, you know, 1/4 inch bolt and nut on it or something like that to hold this in place. So, but yeah, that's about it with that. All right, I ended up getting a hold of a friend of mine who, I took it down to his shop and he did some little stitch welds on here to mount this little funnel piece or whatever you call it onto the cake pan here. And you can see I got my spacer. Whoop, you can see I got a space, you know, where I had the space. This thing will come in and out. It's pretty sturdy. You know, it's not a bad deal. I ended up not doing anything to the bottom here because it's fine. Only thing I have to do now is attach a couple of mounting pieces to the top and bottom so I could anchor it to the core support on the S10. So that's pretty much all there is to it. Now that I've done this, I'll tell you, if you get one of those, excuse me, if you get one of those like black plastic ones or whatever that's made out of that you get usually from Jegs or Summit or even the auto parts store, they already have this built into them and you won't have to do this, which would be better for this. Hindsight, now that I've done this piece here, I don't think I would weld the next one on there. My buddy who did this he's a really good TIG welder, and he said that the quality of the aluminum in the cake pan is kind of a low grade of aluminum. And he says it's kind of tricky to TIG weld. So, and you could see a couple spots where he kind of blew through it a little bit, but it's a fan shroud for a race car, so not a big deal. But again, if you have one of those black ones, you don't have to put this on at all. If you do, I would suggest bolting one on if you have to put one of these on. That's it. That's all there is to it. So, anyways, I think that's going to wrap this video up. That's going to wrap that piece up there. I have another build I'm planning on doing. I'll probably start in another day or so. It's going to be pretty fun. But until then, thank you everybody for subscribing, and thank you for everybody who's commenting. That's pretty cool of all you guys. I greatly appreciate it. And I think everyone should stay safe, and I'll see you next time.